introduced over the last 5 years under benchmarking and fair sustainable, which were about saving money within the justice sector. And when you start to benchmark and you start to look at different prisons, they become a little bit unstable in some areas.
And the staffing levels, I mean, last October the Ministry of Justice acknowledged there was some dispute over the exact fall, but they acknowledged that since 2010 prison officers have gone from 25,000 down to just under 18,000. Is that part of the reason that you would say that it makes it hard to make prisons safe?
I definitely think it's a contributing factor. I wouldn't say that's the only reason. I mean, the membership that I represent, we've lost a third of prison governors in the last 5 years, which is a huge amount. You know, these people are the strategic thinkers. These are the people that are setting direction within establishments. And when you start to lose that chain of command, and you start to spread workload onto senior managers, you become more of a firefighter than a strategic thinker.
The Howard League for Penal Reform a year ago said our prisons were in crisis. Are they right?
Crisis is a really difficult word for sure.
We have a new Justice Secretary, of course, Michael Gove, who's appearing before the Select Committee today. What do you want to hear from him? What changes do you think are needed?
I think he signalled really early on that he's prepared, he's in listening mode, and that we really welcome that, because it's going to give us an opportunity to try and influence some of his thinking. I'm really fortunate that we've got a meeting with him early next week where we can start to talk to him about his strategies, and we'd really like to see where we go back to some kind of rehabilitative programs and really sense that we can encourage offenders to address their behaviours in custody and do what we do well, which is talk to people. You know, one of the best tools that the prison officers have is their voice, and I really want the opportunity for our staff to engage prisoners meaningfully, rather than having to rush around all day, you know, lock up, unlock, serve meals, get them off to work, back from work, but really sit down and do a decent intervention and help these guys plan whilst they're in custody.
Mark Ike, thank you very much.
Cheers, thank you very much.
The time's 20 to 8. Let's have a look at the papers, and looking around for a way to describe the plight Greece finds itself in.
The rejected novel by Harper Lee, which she then reworked as To Kill a Mockingbird. The Telegraph calls the new publication a bad book that gave birth to a great one. Hadley Freeman in The Guardian suggests that the reception being given to the earlier manuscript must confirm the fears that Harper Lee had about ever producing a follow-up to her, till now, one published work. The Independent pursues its own act of literary recovery, reprinting an essay on poverty that's been identified as chiefly the work of Charles Dickens.
And there's great news in the Times for lovers of film soundtrack music. A report confirms the Italian composer Ennio Morricone has completed work on score for the new cowboy film by Quentin Tarantino, 51 years after his celebrated music for A Fistful of Dollars.
And it is now 17 minutes to 8. Just to say, I said a moment ago that Michael Gove would be appearing in front of the Select Committee. Today it is not, it is tomorrow. My day's muddled up. Now, 10 years ago, a man had an injection at the dentist, and since then he has been unable to remember anything. He knows what happened up until that date, but everything that's happened since only lasts in his memory for 90 minutes. The one exception is that he knows his father has died. He wakes up every morning wondering why he's in his mother's house and not in his old job in the military stationed abroad. And every day he has to read about his condition to re-educate himself. Dr. Jerry Burgess is a consultant clinical psychologist at Leicester University and has been working with him to try to understand his condition. Dr. Burgess, good morning to you.
Good morning, Sarah.
Now, we're not going to name this gentleman. He's now 48. But what is it? What is the most that we understand really about what happened to him on what, as I understand it, was a fairly routine trip to the dentist?
Yes, it was a routine trip to the dentist, and that's one of the things that makes this so unusual. But he received an anesthetic injection, and he was wearing tinted glasses while in the supine position on the dentist chair. And he remembers drilling beginning for a root canal, and that is his last memory. And the dentist continued through the procedure and didn't see that he seemed to have fainted or had a change in consciousness behind tinted glasses. So it could have been 40 minutes that something was going on, and when they finally finished the procedure, he couldn't get up. he can stay aware throughout the day if there's a continuity and a bringing back into conscious awareness of some information he needs to know.
Now, normally if somebody has amnesia, there's some form of physical brain damage, and I suppose there must be an assumption that that has happened here, but you just don't know how or why or where.
That's right, we don't know how, why, or where. We're familiar with a few other cases that did not begin from a dentist appointment. Most of these had to do with a spinal injury, spinal column injury. So I don't know if there's some shared mechanism between them, but essentially...
And forgive me, but you are now trying to find other people, as I understand it, who may have the same condition.
Yes, that's right.
Indeed. Well, Dr. Jerry Burgess, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Time 13 minutes to 8. Just to say, we've been talking during the course of the morning about what seems to be a deal that has been done between Iran and the six powers that it has been negotiating with over its nuclear ambitions. It does now seem pretty much certain that a deal has been done. A Western diplomat has been quoted in the Associated Press as saying formal nuclear deal has been reached with Iran. Obviously more on that later on in the programme. For the time being,